Hey, it's podcast time. Woo.
Happy Monday. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend.
You guys know how Monday works. Longer podcasts than usual.
We either can't control ourselves or we're just happy to be back. And we have a lot of stuff to tell you guys about.
Let's see. Today in the podcast, we talk about Xbox controllers. Talk about not leading with your strongest suit. We talk Bollywood and Forrest Gump, finding money, being fat and COVID-19. We discussed, actually, there's a bunch of COVID stuff in the show today. Shocker. We talk about a cruise line and whether or not I'd be willing to quarantine.
I think that's your favorite line that you had this morning.
Absolutely. And then, let's see, we talk about the Bill Gates conspiracy. Mm-hmm. All you can eat chicken fingers. And what was the other one that I was thinking about? Nikki goes to Wahlburgers.
Yeah, I did.
So that's something. And I don't remember what it was that I was thinking about that I was like, I'll make sure I mention that in the intro, but I didn't.
So it'll be in the podcast itself, but it'll be a surprise. Is it the swamp rats?
Maybe it is.
Maybe.
The more I think about that, the more I think, while it wouldn't necessarily make for a great entire show, if we were doing a reality show, like, for example, Nikki goes to Texas and she's renovating houses. Mm-hmm. And then it would be like, one of the big problems we have in Texas is the swamp rat infestations. And we're going out to Bob's house of swamp rats to shoot some swamp rats. And that would be like that.
That'd be my outing for the day.
That 3-second package they put together while Bob is removing the toilet.
No, I think I could have a whole episode where I go and do that for the entire day. I don't think it's just a 3-second package. I think there's more.
Okay. I mean, maybe. And then we're cutting back, intercutting between
back and forth,
and like.
Yep. And then I get injured somehow. And then it ends on a cliffhanger on I got bit or something, or did I not?
Does Nikki have rabies?
Something happens. And then I have to go to the ER, and that's where we leave it at.
I love it.
Now, none of that's in the story we talked to you about, but you'll learn about giant swamp rats.
Well, I mean, but it's evolving here as Nikki and I are workshopping
It's a worry. So heads up, too, if you make sure to follow us at RadioU Official on Instagram. All this week for RadioU DJs, remember, we're the Riot on RadioU. We're doing these stories where you guys can watch our behind the scenes and kind of see what it's like to do the show with us. And that includes me and Obi. So if you want to see Obi tomorrow, please take a look and follow us there.
All right.
Okay.
Well, you guys have a fantastic day.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
They even make morning people want to reach for the snooze button. It's the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, you finally did it.
I did what?
You went to Wahlburger.
I did. I went to Wahlburgers, which is Mark Wahlberg and his family and their hamburger place.
His funky bunch.
Yeah, so I went on Saturday.
And?
It was weird. I was telling Obi the area where I went seems to be very hard hit from COVID, or the list is long. So downtown area was pretty depressing, or just really kind of no tourists, just very down. So when you went in, it was all like very not bustling, sort of, and kind of not cleaned up maybe as much as if there was bustling crowds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't have any sports happening downtown, I don't think.
No, it was all pretty quiet over there.
Yeah, it can be, downtowns on the weekend can be an odd place because you're used to it being, like, very busy. Mm-hmm. But if they don't have any events happening,
then there's not a lot of extra people. And so there wasn't a lot of extra people at this place. And I feel like they were training someone. Our food was a tiny bit burnt.
Okay.
I feel like it was just not at
Did
its
you
optimal.
speak up? Like,
no, it wasn't
me?
that bad, but I think it wasn't optimal for what's going on. There was just other reasons.
But what did you think of the food?
It was pretty good. Very expensive, but pretty good. Is that kind enough? If it was cheaper, I think it would feel better.
Yeah.
But because it was, a little bit more high price than even like a Five Guys and all that stuff, it was, not like I would rush back to it anytime soon.
The idea of the gourmet cheeseburger restaurant is becoming harder to swallow because of what you just said. Because at some point, you're like, okay, I'm paying $13 for a burger and fries. Like, Really? This is really happening right now?
And you know what is also sad too? Like, it never just comes with the sides anymore at the gourmet places. You're like, well, I said, is it like a combo? And she goes, no, you can get the fries separately. And I was like, all right. She goes, but if you get a drink with it, then we can combo it together. And I was like, you mean like a combo?
The thing I asked you about. The thing I just asked you about,
but it was like, whoa, that adds a lot to it. But it was still fun to go to. It was still fun to experience. But I think if you would have lifted it up and put it in a more fun time, it would have been better.
Sure. Well, I went to Cleveland a couple years ago to see Jim Gaffigan, and I'd never been to Wahlburgers. Mm-hmm. So I went to Wahlburgers, and it was funny. I went in, had to wait forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and I think it was like we left, and they texted us. We came back, got in there.
They were sorry.
Yeah.
Text you.
Well, it was fine, and they got in there, and it was just like, man, between the two of us, I think it was like $40. It was like, I'm not saying this food was not good. It's good, but like $40 for a burger and fries?
It's the same feeling. That has not changed. That's the same feeling.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's the kind of thing that makes me think maybe I won't go buy a car from him at his car dealership. Because if this is what you think a burger costs, I don't even want to know what you think a truck costs.
I have no idea about that side of things. All I know is the gourmet burger, like you were saying, needs to start going back down, I think, in prices because they've priced themselves out of what they're actually serving.
Yeah.
And that's not just them. That's a lot of places.
No, it is.
Am I looking at you, Shake Shack? I don't know if I am. Perhaps.
I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you
Five Guys as well. You guys are all way too much.
I'll tell you who's creeping up on Shake Shack. Wendy's.
Yeah, it's too. It's a lot of money.
You are Wendy's. Don't be embarrassed. Just get real.
Just say how it is, and that's fine. But it was fun to at least say I tried it.
Would you go back?
No.
Thanks, Nikki. I heard it.
Did you hear it right there?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You thought they were bad live? Well, just wait until you hear this. The Worst of the Riot podcast with Obadiah and Nikki.
San Francisco. It's a city. You go there. Mm-hmm. Some people live there. Mm-hmm. You know what people do in cities?
Not as many as you think. It's right outside the line. You say San Francisco, but it's Oakland. So.
Right. Well, a lot of people. It's a metro area.
It is. Really. It is. It's expensive, but it's there.
But what do people in cities do? They eat. Mm-hmm. Just like you, Nikki. You visited Cincinnati. You went to Wahlburgers. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you go into a city and you eat.
Well, yeah, you do. You're not at home.
So there is a restaurant in San Francisco that it's a sushi place, and they have started deploying these 7-foot plastic domes. Mm-hmm. And so you go in the dome and you eat. People come in wearing masks and gloves, and they bring you your food and all this stuff. And this is supposed to provide you with the
security,
fine dining experience that you've been searching for
during this time.
But, you're in this clear plastic dome feeling safe.
Is it like the snow globe looking dome?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
except like there's lattice work kind of on it. But yes,
a lot of places have had to put outside seating
it feels
for their
like an igloo.
Yeah, for their restaurants, and they've been putting tents up and just it's an area where there's normally not tents or seating, so it looks a little odd, but they're making it work.
This, to me, I don't want to stop anybody from doing what they want to do. But I'm just going to tell you, remember how you were saying like you had to have friends that were going to invite you back to Wahlburger?
Yeah.
You're going to have to invite me down to the igloo to eat because
you don't like sushi anyways.
Well, I don't. But looking at this, I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. It's just like, this is too much effort.
But there's some areas where you always go out and eat. Like, that's just what you do. And so they're just making it work. So you can have the sushi.
Again, I don't want anyone to feel judged or whatever. It's not that. Like, that's fine. If that's what you got to do, like, do it, whatever.
But you don't want to eat in the igloo/snow globe.
I mean, I would, but I'm just telling you, at some point, I look at that and go, you know what? It's not worth it. Just forget it.
I can just pick up. I'll just pick it up from the curb. You could throw it in the car.
I'll just hit a drive-through At McDonald's, you can pull up to slots 1 through 4, and you just put in your number, and they carry it out to you. I'm probably just going to stick with that.
Well, that's then if you don't want to expand your taste and your horizon.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, in fairness, a lot of people live in an urban area, so this is their only option.
This is exciting. You're like, hey, I went to the Igloo today.
Dude, let's go down and eat at the Igloo. Now, I want to know, is there an Igloo surcharge? Because it feels like there probably is.
Oh, you have to pay extra to sit in the Igloo?
Oh, did you want to sit in the Igloo?
Well, I want the temperature to match what it looks like.
I want it to be colder.
So you want it to be colder when you go inside?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Well, it's in San Francisco at a sushi place.
Yeah, but as Nikki said, you're seeing them other places. Who's ready for the Igloo?
I just see the big tents. Like it's almost circus tent-ish. Like they're very large, and they just put everybody underneath.
One day, a heroic time traveler will go back in time to make sure none of this ever happens. Until then, it's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
It is the Riot on Radio U, 877-2-RADIO-U. I logged in, of course, to check my daily movie deals to see what I should be throwing my money away on, only to discover that every shark movie I've ever seen is on sale today.
You know why?
Because Shark Week!
It is. I only caught that a couple of days ago.
Shark Week started last night with Air Jaws Ultimate Breach Off at 8 p.m.
Is that a documentary or a movie or what is it?
I have no idea.
The talking doggies? Is it the talking sharks?
Maybe it is. So let's see. Jaws Ultimate Breach Off, decoys, drones, and underwater cameras. 3 researchers will return to one of the last hunting grounds for Air Jaws to count the number of breaches and collect data.
So the great white sharks that jump out of the water.
Yeah,
so they must be doing something with that.
Air Jaws.
And that's on, is it Discovery or what network?
It's Discovery.
Discovery Network. I haven't watched Shark Week in a long time.
A lot of people haven't.
But remember it used to have this heyday where it's like, wow, this is so great. What are we going to learn? And then they just started to repeat everything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They say that each night you're going to get at least 3 hours of new
programming
shark content.
Well, I mean, even if it's a new show, it's still a take on what they've already done in another show. There's only so much you can do, is what I feel.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a new show, but they probably did it like 5 years ago also.
They're filling an entire week at 3 hours a night, and it goes from Sunday to Sunday, so it's technically 8 days. Mm-hmm. It's 24 hours of new shark programming.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
On TikTok, they were doing some ads for it. It was Mike Tyson, so I don't know if he's like a thing with this week.
Please tell me there's shark boxing. I don't know how it works.
You don't want to know
what's going on.
The legalities of it.
Let's not even get into the potential moral and ethical implications of shark boxing. Just tell me it's a thing and what time it's on.
I don't want to know anything else about it, but I don't know if they would usually pick like a host for the week, and I don't know if that's him or if he was just in the ads.
No, I don't want to be
that person.
But I don't think Mike Tyson as a host is a great idea.
Well, maybe he was just doing a show with it.
You know, as a color guy, the person on the side that's making the comments that you go to. But if I'm looking for an anchor, I don't think he's my guy.
I'm trying to look and see on the website if there's hey, this is the host. But if not, he was just doing the commercials.
All right, let's see. Mike Tyson, Shark Week. Immobilize a shark during dive as part of,
Is he doing an episode or a show?
Tyson versus Jaws. Paul DeGelder playing cornerman to the boxing icon. I don't know. Something's going on with Mike Tyson fighting a great white shark. It's what I want.
You're not going to watch it, but it's what you want.
Yes. Yeah, it's exactly what I want.
It was bad enough the first time around, but now it's worse. Don't believe us? Just keep listening. You'll find out soon enough. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So, Nikki, did you see what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation did over the weekend?
I did not.
They made a $150 million donation in order to make a forthcoming, it's not here yet, but that when the coronavirus vaccine becomes available, it'll basically subsidize the cost of the vaccine so that it would be
free for everybody?
Free or a couple of dollars. So like very inexpensive. But I was looking at this and I thought, right, because what does this do? Bill Gates created COVID-19 because he wants to put a microchip in you. So
Is
of course,
some of the behind the scenes, like, what's the word? Conspiracy theories that go around concerning that.
Of course, he would pay
for it
to make it easier. And that way, when he's got the microchip in you, he can watch you eating chips and watching Netflix all weekend. He's going to know exactly where you are and exactly what you're doing.
True or not? We're just saying that that's what the announcement was over the weekend, that he'll be paying for that.
Nope. I'm saying it's true.
You're adding all that
real.
to it. Okay,
Yep.
I'll let you add all that to it.
Oh, it's absolutely real. I mean, he is definitely at the heart of this.
You just know it, right?
He infected your computer with his Windows, and now he wants
it's
to
you.
infect you.
And he's the only one who has the cure that he's paying for.
That's right, Nikki. He's paying himself for the cure. And we're all out here lapping it up like a bunch of sheeple. It's fine.
Well, so that was the big announcement then?
Yes. So they went ahead. They made a $150 million donation to the Serum Institute of India. They are the world's largest vaccine maker. And so that is money that will be used specifically
to make to figure out the vaccine, or to make it once it's done.
Speed up the development and distribution of it and make it available to 92 poorer countries for no more than $3 per dose. That's what they're saying. So, I mean, will the United States get the cheap vaccine? Probably not. But the other side of it is we're too smart for it, Nikki, because what else is in the vaccine?
Do you ever think, like, with such large amounts of money, like, is that like when you get your paycheck directly deposited, but you don't really get it till like the next day?
Right.
Is that a 1 day wait on $150 million? Or
how long does it take for the check to clear?
Yeah, like, how does that work with security issues? Because that's a rather large amount of money.
I feel like that's going to be an electronic deposit.
You think so?
Yeah.
Very secure.
And it's one of those things where, like, $500 is available right away, but then $150 million is available the next day.
That's just a very large amount of money.
How to survive the riot. Do the complete opposite of everything they say. You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
I'm going to say something that I'm sure I'll regret later, and so I'm just going to get out there and say it now.
Just going to rush it?
Yeah, I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry, kind of a thing. But, Nikki, I really have got to start checking my email on the weekends.
Why?
Because I missed out on all-you-can-eat chicken fingers again.
Come on. Can't you send an alert up for that or something?
I need to. I need to set up some kind of a Google alert so that anytime there's an all-you-can-eat chicken fingers thing, I know about it.
It's important, and I feel like you're not treating it that way.
I have got to start checking that. You know what it is? I've got an account that I use for, like, my crap. Like, where anytime they're like, give us your email, you're like, sure, you can have this one I never look at. But then on Monday, I'm like, oh, see what's in there. And lo and behold, once again, I have 1 day too late to participate. I have found out about all-you-can-eat chicken fingers.
Was that the same place that was last time? Aww.
And,
But you have to go in for them. But, I mean, that makes sense with all you can eat.
Maybe I can stay in the little, I could set up a plastic bubble outside.
You could, or maybe there is outside eating for them, or...
Feel like a boy in a bubble.
Just eating.
Eating chicken, all you can eat. Wasting away. I'm making trouble. Chipotle dipping sauce.
Oh, and you missed it. You can still go get, like the chicken fingers. It's chicken tenders, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not even wings.
Here's what I like to do. Okay. They make them in a Chipotle sauce, and, they just toss it in the sauce.
Lightly.
Then I like to get a side of the sauce, and then also a side of honey mustard. And so you take that Chipotle...
3 dips here?
Well, it doesn't have to be 3 dips. Sometimes you're just dipping for some extra Chipotle love, but then sometimes you take the tossed chicken finger and you dip it in some honey mustard, and then as you sit there and feel the pleasure centers exploding in your brain, you begin to ask yourself questions.
Why am I doing this?
About your life and your priorities. But actually, those questions don't come until after.
Until way later when you've left and already paid.
Later.
Using advanced technology, we've digitized and transcoded Obadiah and Nikki into a purely digital format. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So this fall, we're getting a new Xbox and a new PlayStation. I'm not getting a new Xbox, but I was thinking I recently gave away one of my controllers, which seemed fine at the time. And now I'm just like, man, why did I do that?
Well, why would you have kept it?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
And then wait, this is your Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Which you still have your Xbox, don't you? Or did you sell it?
I do. I had 2 controllers and I gave away one. So now it used to be that I had one for my computer and one for my Xbox. And so I wouldn't have to keep resyncing it every time I would switch back and forth. Yeah. And I was like, better for my friend to have this controller, for he has none and I have 2. And I can deal with the inconvenience of doing this. Yeah. And then after a while, you're like, man, I hate myself and my friend. I was robbed. Why was I kind?
Well, why are you really maybe wondering your decision?
Well, I have been planning on getting, whenever they release the Xbox Series X controller, I plan on getting one, and that'll be my replacement controller. And lo and behold, Nikki, someone has managed to buy one of these in the wild.
The newest ones?
The new controllers.
For the ones out in November?
Yep.
Well, that's a little early, don't we think?
Yes, I think.
Do we thinketh it not lieth? Like, is it real?
It seems to be real. I mean, he's got photos of...
We can all get photos. Are they real?
Okay. He's got photos of the box. He's got photos of the controller. Photos of the documentation that came inside the box, denoting it as a Xbox Series X controller.
I guess I just thought that they wouldn't even be shipped or sent anywhere. So where does he say he got it? Or is he not telling?
He says that he bought it on something called OfferUp, which is think like eBay or like, what's the place I bought my phone?
One of those.
Yeah, like where basically it's just an online marketplace kind of thing.
So someone probably stole it from somewhere and then was selling it.
The other thing that's really interesting is inside this box with its little, documentation, it says that it's compatible with the Xbox One, Windows 10, Android, iOS, and the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, which that raises questions because as of right now, Microsoft has only been talking about this uber expensive top of the line Xbox they're going to release this fall. There's been a lot of speculation that they'll have a less expensive, but still really nice other Xbox they're going to release. And this is the first time we've seen actual printed out that thing will exist.
Uh-oh.
So
we'll see what happens.
Could be a thing.
What do we want to spend our money on?
You know what, Nikki? We're all going to die anyway, so might as well die happy.
Go big or go home. Buy the big one.
Just get it. And you know what?
No one knows what the more expensive one will cost, let alone what the less expensive one will cost.
What I'm saying is like I die with credit debt or I die without it. I'm still dead, so I might as well get what I want.
How you're living your life. That's important, okay?
Come on.
So we'll see what you end up getting. But that's not till like October, November, or whenever it comes out.
That all sounds like a joke, but I know people.
Things are never as bad as they seem, except when it comes to the riot. Then they're worse. They're always worse. It's the Riot on RadioU.
Okay, Nikki, want to say a big shout out to Logan and Austin. They're ages 14 and 13. Over the weekend, they found a wallet with more than $500 in cash, and they turned it into the police.
Oh, that's nice.
So the Wayland Police Department have made them honorary citizens of the day.
Good for them.
For their good deed. So great work. Have you ever found a wallet stuffed with cash?
No, I have not.
Never?
I would like to think that I would return it. I'll say that now.
Have you ever just found money laying out? Like, woo!
Yeah, I think I probably found like a few dollars here or there, but not like in a wallet.
Yeah. I one time found $20, took it to somebody to like turn it in, and they were just like,
why?
No, literally, the guy was just like, no, just keep it. We'll never. He's like, the amount of effort it's going to require to make it. And I was like, this feels wrong, but
not if it's just cash out. Like if it's in a wallet, then you know who it belongs to. You need to start do the work to figure that out. But if it's just on the ground and no one's around it, then I think it's fine.
It's just fair game.
Well, I think so. I mean, you could always be like, hello, everybody. Did anybody? And if you say something, what are they going to do? They're going to probably lie back at you. Like, yeah, it's mine.
Yeah, I
Yeah, that looks like my $20 bill. Give it back.
Moron.
So it's fine.
Okay. I don't think I've ever lost, or I've never found, like, that's it. That's the big one right there. So I know somebody that found several $1,000s.
Whoa, where?
I know. Okay. They found it like in a phone booth.
Really?
Yeah, their story, not mine. And they said they called the police, and after a couple days, no one claimed it. So whatever.
Did you
and
get
I'm
it
like,
then?
Well, they had
Or
kept
did the police get
I
it?
guess they kept it. I don't know. And my thought is just like, look, what if, okay, you're at this like phone booth and there's money and you pick up this money and you walk away. But what you don't know is somebody was watching you walk away with the money.
Well, they left it there for someone to pick up. And then
they
you
didn't
just
pick
walked
it up,
away.
and
This
you
is
just
a
took
movie.
it. I know.
And then they're going to come after you.
And that's like, man, if you ever found, that's my thought. I was like, if you ever found a large sum of cash, like somebody misses that money. And you better pray they didn't see you taking it.
Otherwise, they're going to fine you and they're going to take the money and you're going to be in trouble.
I almost think I'd have to just leave it there because I'm just,
But then what if it's fine and you're missing out on taking all the money?
I could have had all that money.
You could have.
So what you do is you take the money, you stash it somewhere, and you wait. You just wait. And then if you wake up in the night to like this banging sound and somebody's tearing
They're there to get it.
And they're like, oh, hey, listen. My bad.
Well, Mitch texted, he said, once found 100 in a Kroger parking lot and was told to keep it when he was 10 years old.
Oh, my gosh, $100 at 10. Like, that
was just limitless. It would be like $1 million for the rest of us.
Wow. Like, next stop, Toys R Us. I'm on a shopping spree.
I know, you get to keep it all by your own toys.
Oh, I just said Toys R Us like it exists.
Well, when you were a kid, then at 10 it was around.
All right, it's fine. Just feel like today's a day to pour salt in the wounds, you know?
If you're looking for all the funny moments you missed during the riot, we apologize. You won't find them here. There weren't any. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
Total shower thought this morning. I'm standing there and I was like, you know, when I get COVID-19, what's
What's wrong with you?
Like, what's going to be my public stance on it? Because, everybody who gets it, they have to like issue a statement about it.
Well, you have to let people know. Yeah. So that people, if they were in contact with you, understand.
And I was like, you know what? Would I be one of those people? Because the one people you always see are like, I didn't think it was real. And so I didn't wear a mask. And now I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And those stories always get picked up by the media. And I feel like they're like the public shaming story. Like, see who you could end up as. You could be just like this. You'll be sorry.
So would you, or would you just do a posting? I see people do videos sometimes. I've only seen a couple, but they let people know.
Well, I'm thinking about it again because here's a couple in Arizona who say they've paid the price for their lack of precautions because they didn't think it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And so they've gone out there and they're telling everybody, hey, we're so sorry.
Now, you're taking it that way.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe it's more genuine than that.
Forgive me, CNN. Forgive me. Oh,
your tone
God.
is making it seem very non-genuine, but maybe they are.
No, I'm sure they are. But, and again, I apologize. But, Nikki and I work in the media, and that was what
we do see a lot of places then use that as a...
I also got my degree in it, so I have a tendency to think about, the programming production side of it. And I thought, like, okay, if I get it, what does my stance need to be? And I think it just comes down to, would I be asymptomatic or not? Because if I'm really sick, I would be like, hey, I think I would probably have to be, I think I'd have to get out there and be like, hey, everybody, this is no joke. It's real.
Sure.
I didn't believe it either. See,
You do, but you wear the mask. You do all that.
I know, but I feel like you're supposed to say that.
Okay. Even though you do, you follow the rules.
Even though I'm washing my hands, cleaning my phone, and wearing the mask, I feel like I would still be compelled to say, I didn't believe it either.
You didn't do enough.
I didn't do enough. I've got to work harder. I've got to be more.
Well,
I wasted so many opportunities to wash my hands.
It's not like someone's coming out, though, and producing this thing. Do you need a producer?
It feels like it. Would you be my producer,
I'll
Nikki?
produce your video.
For my COVID explanation?
Yeah, we'll write it out, and then we'll make sure we do some good with it.
Okay, I got an idea. I think we want to make me look extra sick, so we'll use really bright lights to kind of blow out the whites in my skin.
We look tired enough as
and
it
what
is.
if we
we don't need any help.
Think about this. What about and I'm talking about just one, maybe way in the back, like a green gel, so that it will just like a slightly
a cast of glow.
He really doesn't look right, does he? Like something's really wrong.
I don't want to lie to the audience.
It's not lies. It's lighting.
I don't want to.
It's not a lie. It's lighting.
That's all lighting is. Lighting is nothing but a lie.
It's not a lie. It's putting your best foot forward, Nikki. The control of lighting and shadow is everything. We paint with light.
Lighting is super important. You don't understand.
No, I'm just telling you. That's what I thought about in the shower this morning. I was like, when you get it, what do you get out there and say? Because we have a tendency to just repeat the stuff we've heard. So would I be out there saying I didn't do what I was supposed to, even though I have?
Or would you have your own story to tell?
Or would my story be like, please send Blu-rays?
Oh, gosh.
You're basically listening to a real-time cringe compilation. This is The Riot on RadioU.
Nikki, do you remember the movie starring one Thomas Hanks called Forrest Gump?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Did you know they're remaking it?
No. Like an official one, or like a what's the nice way to say it? It'll be a younger cast or something like that, where it's a not official. It's
official.
It is?
It's an official Bollywood remake.
Oh, that's fun.
Now, it's not going to be called Forrest Gump, even though, again, it is officially a remake of Forrest Gump. It's called Lal Singh Chaddha, which is somebody's name in India, but it will follow Forrest Gump, but of course it's going to be
their style,
like pointed at points in Indian history versus, history here in the United States, because it will be an Indian character. But
well, there's one, it was a while ago, but it was a Pride and Prejudice called Bride and Prejudice. And it was a Bollywood / Hollywood thing.
Like
No, I liked it. I love that one.
I thought that. No? Okay.
That one I like.
It's hard for me to keep track of the...
You got to keep track of them.
Of all of them, yeah. So Bride and Prejudice, yes. But
that has a Bollywood side to it.
Yeah, it totally does. So I don't understand Bollywood. I've tried. Because it's weird, because I like musicals mostly, but not Bollywood musicals. And, well, that's not fair. I know. Sometimes life isn't fair.
Not everybody has to like everything. He's not being mean about it.
Sometimes you don't like things.
Doesn't gravitate towards that.
It's not my thing. But, you've done quite a bit of Bollywood.
Yeah, I watched a lot of international TV and movies. I don't know why. I just do.
Hey, I'm not mad at you. It's fine.
So I don't mind Bollywood.
All right. Well, I might be willing to give that a shot.
I think it'd be interesting to see the history
Absolutely.
and its timeline with it and what they picked during the story of it.
Absolutely.
But honestly, it's been so long since I watched Forrest Gump. I feel like I need to watch that first to remind me of it.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing I remember about Forrest Gump was him playing football. That's the part I remember. That's all I got.
I think there's a lot more than that.
I'm sure you're right. Then also, Nikki and I, speaking of international remakes, the thing this makes me think of is Nikki and I watched Unforgiven, which was that was amazing. It was a samurai remake from Japan.
Which was a cowboy movie for us, and they made it a samurai version.
Yeah, and it was really good. The subtitles were pretty bad.
We didn't watch an official version. They just stuck it on YouTube.
They still haven't. That is
legal way.
They still haven't released that in the United States.
Never did?
Never. Huh. It's weird. Why not? It just feels like a no-brainer. Put it out. Put it on iTunes or something.
Maybe they're not legally allowed to.
Maybe not. And that might be the case with this. Maybe you want to see the Bollywood Forrest Gump remake, and they'll be like, no.
You don't get it.
You can't.
Now, though, things are a little different. That was a few years ago, but Netflix they'll pick it up, I'm sure.
You're probably right.
They know that'll be good.
With the lack of content in the world right now, they'll be tripping over themselves to pick it up.
But that'll be an official remake for Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So last week we found out that 7-Eleven is buying Speedway. Now, depending on where you live, maybe you know what a Speedway gas station is, maybe you don't. They're a huge chain. Mm-hmm. Some states have them, some states don't.
And I didn't catch, would they be changing Speedways into 7-Elevens or are they just keeping it as is?
Well, Nikki, that's why I'm here.
Oh, what do they got?
So there are 4,000 Speedways, and they will, by basically the beginning of next year, like kind of first quarter, so like by March, April next year, they will all
turn
be
into
7-Elevens.
Wow, so we'll finally have a 7-Eleven near us. Because we have a Speedway down the road, but
Speedway down there.
7-Eleven is a little too far away.
I'm trying to think. Like, Speedway is not anywhere like that's on the way for me, really. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's around. And so every time, if Speedway does any cool, like, Slurpee promotions.
Well, yeah, sometimes 7-Eleven will do things, and we're too lazy to drive.
So lazy.
Extra time over.
Just too much.
To the closest one to us.
So this is
I wondered if they would do that.
Yeah, me too. Well, I thought like, they'll probably buy it and then nothing changes.
Is Speedway a certain coast thing or certain side, or is it everywhere?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where like some states yes, some states no. Like that's the way. I don't know. Is there a truly nationwide gas chain?
There might be, but a lot of times this is what happens. They'll buy each other, and then sometimes they'll stick with one part of the coast gets one name and another part gets another name.
Well, according to this, Speedway bought out Hess gas stations about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Once they did that, they became the country's top gas station and convenience store. And their soda's not that good. I'm just going to tell you. Like they're
at Speedways?
I never find a mix there where they're always like skimping back on the. Well,
the Speedway located near us, I feel like they haven't put their best Speedway foot forward. Yeah,
anything.
It's not like lit nicely in there. It's not organized efficiently. I feel like it's a bit of a rough one.
I'll just tell you.
So maybe 7-Eleven will organize it a bit better.
I have a tendency, like if I'm driving down the road and there's a Speedway and there's like a BP or anything else, I have a tendency to go to the other place.
Oh,
unless it's a Shell station. That's not even worth it.
Maybe this will be different.
Maybe it will.
So they're going to take over by next year, you said?
Yes, but there's one thing that is hitting a lot of people hard. That means the Speedy Freeze will be replaced by the Slurpee.
So Speedway has its own freeze thing?
They do, and they are not the same. Oh. And I've seen an entire internet, which is to say one small corner of it, and yet they are vocal.
They are vocal, explode about it.
Angry they are that the Speedy Freeze is being replaced.
Well, buy now and just start freezing away.
Maybe you could buy a machine.
You could buy a mix.
Yeah.
And then mix your own at your house.
You could make your own. Because, like, let me tell you what. You ever heard of a zombie food? That's where it's going, man.
Just grab what you can.
You got to hurry.
Just make sure you have toilet paper and you have your Speedy Freeze. Then you'll be fine.
Let me tell you what. Some people might be so desperate you could have quite a trade going.
To trade it out.
You're listening to a morning show hosted by two people who absolutely despise getting up in the morning.
Will you give me a break one time?
The Riot, RadioU.
Now, we heard of a theater in Philadelphia, I think it was. It might have been Pittsburgh, somewhere in Pennsylvania that was doing this. But now the trend is growing.
The Alamo House they own more than one theater, though, right? Or
no, that's a chain now. Let's see, you've got...
Used to be one.
One in Austin, two theaters in Austin, one in Denver, and... See, I thought there were more than that, but maybe there's not. Maybe they just have the three theaters.
They became well known for not only really taking it far with asking people to be quiet during a movie. They would keep you quiet or they would make you leave, but then also just doing more fun fan events at their places.
Right. They're kind of like a movie house for people that love movies.
Yeah, like an art house. And if you're not into it as much, it's not like a casual theater. They take it more seriously.
So they are for $150 allowing you to rent out a theater.
Nice.
So, and you're allowed to bring 30 people.
So the last time we talked about it, it was $50 for 20 people.
Yes, that's the one in Pennsylvania.
But for them, $150 for 30 people. And I think it also gets you snacks, right? Like popcorn?
The
other one did.
2 theaters. I don't see anything about that.
Maybe not there. They take
maybe,
it so seriously, it does not.
Maybe not in that particular one, and they have 40 movies that you can choose from. Here's a partial list. You ready? Abominable, Despicable Me 1 and 3, Doolittle, Dr. Seuss's The Grinch from 2018.
Feeling a younger trend.
Wow, really? There really is.
They haven't got to, it's always like Ghostbusters or Jaws.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll skip some of the animated stuff. E.T., 1941. I think that's an old comedy. Casablanca, Duel, Prince of Darkness, which is a John Carpenter, like, cult classic kind of thing. The Goonies, The Lost World Jurassic Park, the 1995 version of Village of the Damned.
All right.
Okay. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Aquaman, 1989 Batman.
Weird. What a weird list.
Gremlins, Jaws, Jurassic Park, 1978 Superman, Mad Max Fury Road, which that I drove to the other side of town to see that once. The Lost Boys, The Matrix, The Thing, They Live, and Wonder Woman.
So there's 40 movies.
There's more movies, but that's...
So basically you schedule your movie time and you can bring up to 30 people?
Yeah.
Do they separate everybody, or you got to do that on your own in there?
Don't know the answer to that. I do know this, that if you could get all your friends to chip in $5 to do it.
Yeah, but remember, I don't think we have 30 friends.
I'll bet with some
Like if it was a birthday party or something, you could probably gather enough people together. But close friends to be willing to go to a movie?
I think, you know what? I think it would be cooler to just be like, you know what? Like,
I'd just do it for myself.
Just pay for it. And then invite as many people as you could and just say, hey, I've got 30 seats. You got to like set up some kind of a thing, and then people could come if they wanted. I would probably I think I would see 1978 Superman. I've never seen that in a movie theater, even though it's something that I like a whole lot. Like I watched it a ton when I was a kid. I got the 4K
But in
disc.
the movie theater, it feels different.
Oh, it totally does. Old movies in a theater, it's very interesting to watch a big projection like that. So maybe that. Casablanca would be cool. I've never seen that in a theater either.
Maybe don't tell everybody, too, what movie you're picking. Just keep it a surprise.
I don't know. My thought is, but see, this just shows you what I like. My thought is like, hey, if we go with something that's a little more obscure, it would be more fun than if you're like, hey, I'm showing Lego Batman. And it's like,
No, I would pick maybe one of the Jurassic Park ones. That could be fun.
Yeah? Okay. All right.
If you missed out on the next Riot moment when it originally aired, you don't know how lucky you are. You're listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Thanks to Adam for texting in.
What's up, Adam?
He said, we were talking about the Alamo Drafthouse movie theater. You could spend $150. You get the theater for one movie, but he said it'd be great if you could bring in your Xbox and play a game instead.
I don't know, man. I imagine me in there with my Xbox and a bucket that was for popcorn, but I'm just throwing
you get
up.
motion sickness.
Oh, I can't.
You're right. That actually could be too much.
Oh.
Or what if you could watch a classic like football game or something? That would be different rights, so I don't know how that would go, but it'd be fun to bring people to watch a game.
I have a hard time watching a game again. I have family members that absolutely can. They're like, they have important games saved on DVRs.
That can never be touched.
They bought DVDs, like stuff I can't.
Well, it's just something to think about, an alternative.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not interesting. And there are people that would be game for that. Believe me. So, Nikki, I told you on Friday that I was watching Hobbs and Shaw this weekend.
Yeah, did that work out or
I
no?
didn't watch it.
Oh, why didn't you want to?
Well, okay.
Not that I think it's anything great, but I was, I live by on Friday what you say you're going to do over the weekend, and
Yeah,
then
you
I
just
expect
hang
a
on every
report.
word.
Yeah, I don't want you lying to everybody.
I ended up watching Friday night Invaders from Mars. Now, wait for it. 1954.
Oh, gosh. You went to an old movie again?
It's a fascinating story because what happened is, you know how today we end up with movies where they're like, we're making a volcano movie, and you end up with 3 volcano movies or like
sure,
whatever.
They come at the same time.
That's what this movie was. Paramount was like, we're making War of the Worlds. And this little indie studio was like, we're making Invaders from Mars. And Paramount's like, it's in color. And they're like, so is ours. And so they made this movie and rushed it into production and rushed it out to theaters to beat War of the Worlds. And I guess they did okay.
Was it popular? Or?
I'm not sure. they used
Popular is a big term.
It was interesting. They used a process like back in the day. Technicolor was like the big color process. They used this other color process that was cheaper. And it's kind of like, is it Blu-ray or HD DVD? Is it Dolby or HDR10? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Probably not.
Competitors.
They were competitive formats, and the one they chose definitely lost. But it was
Did you have
out.
fun watching it?
Yeah. The other thing I watched was The Love Bug, 1968. Disney Plus.
Stop watching these old things. Well, I guess it was on Disney Plus. At least you're not paying extra for it.
Well, I didn't play extra for Invaders from Mars. Let me tell you what, Amazon, they've gone out and bought out all kinds of old movies that nobody cares about. They're loaded with that.
Lots to choose from.
So that was on Amazon Prime, and then I watched The Love Bug, which is the original Herbie movie about the Volkswagen Beetle that has a soul, apparently. It's kind of weird. This guy's like, yeah, I went up and visited the monks in Tibet, so I can sense the soul of the car.
Are you ever going to watch a current or more current movie than these?
I don't know.
You just seem to be in an old movie thing.
It's weird.
Is it a rut at this point, or are you just happy there?
I don't know. You know what I loved? I like watching these old movies and reading up on them, like reading reviews and responses and production anecdotes. Like I could just do that.
You are doing that.
I know.
You can just continue.
I didn't finish it, but last night I got halfway through Planet of the Vampires.
Oh, my gosh.
1960,
Stop it.
1966.
I don't think you're telling us everything. I think there's way more movies than you're leaving on.
All right, I got halfway through The Stuff, 1985, I think.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How many?
But I'm not done. I'm halfway through it. Like, I got halfway through that and halfway through Planet of the Vampires, and I had to stop. Planet of the Vampires is a co-American-Italian production. I'll stop there.
Okay. Well, good. Good. It seems like you had a busy weekend.
But I didn't watch Hobbs and Shaw.
No. Why would you want to do that?
I gave during the last fundraiser, and all I got was this crappy morning show. This is The Riot on listener-supported Radio U.
I got great news if you're fat like me.
What's the news?
I'm technically like I'm obese because there's like overweight and then obese, and like I'm obese, which is like the big category.
But people say that all the time, that technically they feel like they should still just be in the overweight category, but it's a harsh scale.
I'm obese, Nikki.
So
I got to own it. Okay, I got to own it. I'm obese.
What are they saying?
In the UK, now keep in mind, this is the UK. Right, it's not the United States, but it gives me hope. They are saying that if COVID hotspots become too intense, obese people are more at risk, and they'll be asked to stay home.
And everybody gained weight during quarantine, so you can go back home again.
Man, finally being fat works to my advantage.
Oh.
I will be able to stay home and be like, I'm sorry, Michael. Yes, I'm calling in to let you know I'll be unable to come to the radio station as the government has recommended that fatties like me are too at risk. Do you care about my health? Do you want me to live?
Don't have them come in then.
I can't come in.
I feel like that's a delicate talking to, meaning like, would your employer bring it up to you? And then does that mean they think you're fat?
Oh, you mean like Michael would call me in and I've been
or
coming in?
Or do you bring it up to them, or they're the ones saying like, hey, you really shouldn't come in, and you're like, why? It's going fine, isn't it? And then you don't realize they think you're too fat to come in.
If you don't know, Michael's our boss.
Upset.
But he calls me in and he is like, oh, hey, yeah, here, I'll be right back. Just read this news story. I'll come back.
And then you tell me your thoughts about what you think about it.
I just feel like, man, I sure wish I was obese so I could stay home.
But they just don't want to tell you that, or do you have to like weigh in or something?
Like,
we do a temperature check. Do you have to weigh yourself also?
Every morning.
I see this as being horrible.
Every morning you take your temperature.
And you weigh yourself.
Yeah, and you weigh yourself. And they're just like, well, still obese.
If you're out the chart, then you get to go home.
Gotta go home. I'd be going home. It would be like a whole year on Noom or something before I could come in. Like, I was able to return to work after losing all this weight.
No, because we can't lose weight
and
when
then
we're
I got
at
the
home.
coronavirus.
You get heavier.
I know. Boy, I'm telling you, you just want to eat and eat and eat. Just eat.
So I'm getting conflicting messages then. Are we supposed to gain weight because he said it was okay? Are we staying home? Or are we supposed to now lose weight so we can go back to work?
This is a war on fatness. That's what it is. They're trying to get us fatter so we are complacent and we can't get out there like a cow.
We're just staying at home. Are we supposed to go to work and be healthier? I don't know.
Now, keep in mind, the UK has not done this yet. This is not in the United States. It's just a UK thing, but they were talking about it, and it gives me hope for some vacation.
Well, this seems like it's a loaded thing, though, and it seems more hurtful than the face mask thing, so I don't know.
Well, and then they're like, hey, can you... do you wear a face mask? Do you having a hard time finding a face mask that fits? You might be obese.
Oh, it hurts. It just all hurts.
It hurts like a face mask pressed up against your third chin.
I guess it's too tight. Oh, let's not worry about this one yet, shall we?
I'm worried. Excited.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So here we go, Nikki. Coming up this January, I'm going on a cruise.
Of course you are.
It's going to happen.
It will be. It'll be fine. I was nervous.
It's never happening.
I was nervous anyways, but then you add all the COVID stuff and the traveling stuff. But normally it's just nervous on a cruise ship as it is.
Never happening. And I'm looking at a cruise right now, a Norwegian cruise liner, which I'll say it looks a little different than the Caribbean cruise that I'm looking forward to taking. But they had 53 people that came back with corona.
Really? From the one cruise ship?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
37 crew members, 16 passengers, all came back with the Rona.
Oh.
So now everybody on the ship gets to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Everybody on the ship? Oh, well, more vacation. Now you have land vacation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're excited about that.
You're staying inside.
What did I tell you about these quarantines? It's kind of great. 2 weeks to decompress and relax. You have your vacation. And then you come back in 2 weeks to rest up from all that vacation.
Yeah, because some places you go, you're supposed to quarantine before you go. And then have your vacation. And then when you come back.
Man, and sometimes it's like states. Like in Ohio, they say if you go to Florida, you're supposed to quarantine for 2 weeks when you come home from Florida. Nobody's doing that. I don't know a single person that has voluntarily quarantined after coming back from one of the 4 or 5 hot states.
We never know. Maybe they are, and they're just not telling you.
They're not doing it.
They're not doing it. He's raising his eyes.
They're not doing it.
So the question is, come January, if we're still in this world that we're currently living with, would you go on the cruise to then have to quarantine after?
Would I?
Yeah, or would you just reschedule your cruise?
No, I think I'd go.
Think you would go and then quarantine?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
So it's not my problem.
Well, I mean, that's fine. Chris, don't laugh, Otso. It would just be me here. It's fine. It's fine. You got a great vacation on
I'm going to enjoy it.
You're right. You're right. It's everybody else's problem at that point.
It's not my problem.
It's not your issue. Okay. May we please be done with this by January?
America.
Yeah. Great. I love
It's not my problem.
That's why everybody's doing this.
Hey, so what do you think of Obadiah?
The truth is, he's not a very nice person.
Okay, well, what about Nikki?
The very best there is.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
Are you starting college classes this fall? Or perhaps you're just returning? 1, count yourself super lucky. 2, if you're going to live on campus, whoa, look out.
Because it'll be different?
Well, I've got friends moving in, and they told them, like, in their welcome packet, it was like, we recommend that you, 1, limit leaving campus. So stay on campus and don't go home until Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it seems safe, though.
Now, that's not a lot of times colleges will say that, especially to freshmen. They're like, hey, you need to make a clean break from home. You need to make some friends. You need to, do the hard thing and start your new life here a little bit. I get that. But this is the vid is going to get you if you go out, and then you're going to bring it in to your friends, and then it'll be the COVID because you'll both have it.
So they're saying it's better safe just to, again, limit how many people you get around.
Yes. They're also asking you to please not go on any road trips.
What? You weren't going on any.
I went on a lot of road trips.
Oh, during school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, on the weekends. But
So
you can just
they're saying,
stay in your room.
Don't
stay
do that.
in your room.
Come to college and stay in your room.
It'll be different.
Well, on top of this, like they're basically asking you, don't do this, wear a mask, all these other things. Another thing I'm seeing is that there are some students right now, they're saying a lawsuit building in which several students, and this is happening kind of around the United States, they want reduced tuition because they're saying, hey, you're not providing the same suite of services that you used to because of this. And as a result, you should not be charging me the same price as you were before.
I mean, it is kind of true, especially for some schools. They're doing some in-person classes. Depends on what you're going for.
Yeah.
But some are in-person. Some are going to be remote, even if you're still at school physically. And I kind of agree for some of that.
I will say, like, there's this element of, time is time. You don't want to waste a year, quote unquote. But, man, seriously, I don't see paying for full price when I'm not getting a full service.
Full experience.
And I realize that educational institutions are freaking out with statements like that because they're kind of being hamstrung. They can't provide it because of what's going on, and they have built their budgets out that everybody's going to do a certain thing and a certain thing. So I get it.
And a lot of schools are going to be hurting because of their athletic side will not be bringing in the same amount of money probably as before.
Yeah, but most of that money, I'm sure that all of the illegal stuff surrounding that, those people will still get their money.
It still continues.
But it'll be the university that will hurt.
Okay,
so.
No, it's going to be us, the students, that hurt when you still have to pay full price.
I'm sure college football, that's a very above board institution. They'll be fine.
It's okay.
I'm
sure there are some honest schools. But
you're a sweet kid.
I know, I'm innocent, right?
You are.
I think that they are.
It's part. You know what? It's part of what we love you for, Nikki.
Oh, it's the charm, isn't it?
It is.
The Riot Podcast. RadioU.
Holy crap. Nikki and I are looking at what's happening in Fort Worth, Texas right now.
Hey, here's something to add to the list.
They are battling what they call is a colony of swamp rats.
They're huge. It looks like it's even bigger. It looks like than a guinea pig or a...
It looks like a groundhog.
Looks like a groundhog about that size.
Except they're terrifying instead of being like a groundhog.
Do you see the teeth on them?
Yes.
Looks like fingernails.
Isn't it funny? Groundhogs are technically rodents too.
Yeah, but these are rats.
So they're out there shooting them?
Giant swamp rats. They've invaded in about the past year, so they're new, but not the newest.
Okay, get a load of this. In Louisiana, they pay hunters to kill swamp rats.
So it's like the snakes in Florida. They're destroying the ecosystem.
How much money do you think you could make doing that?
Per rat thing?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do the snakes, but I could shoot these rats all day.
You could do that, but then you have to bring them in, don't you?
Probably. Ugh. You know what you do? You just get some gloves. And a mask. I'm wearing a mask anyway, so I don't have to smell it.
Basically, they say that these giant swamp rats come in and they eat 25% of their body weight like every day. And they
that's a lot when you think about it.
So it'll go through and it'll tear apart the food for all the other animals. And they say that the mommy giant swamp rat will have like 200 babies a year. So it's very hard to control the population for these things.
Okay. If I told you, Nikki, that like let's say you make $50 a day at RadioU. Yeah. I don't know what you make, whatever. But Nikki, you could make $100 a day shooting swamp rats. You could make $150 a day.
How do I have to kill them? I do have to shoot them
with a rifle.
With a rifle?
What are you gonna gather them up and smother them with a pillow?
Just let them sleep.
Just go to sleep.
If they fall asleep, they won't know. They'll just never wake up.
They just don't know, and it's fine. Like, then they, you know what, they wake up in heaven.
They don't know.
And they're with all their swamp rat friends.
And it wasn't, my fault. I don't know.
I finally get to see my swamp rat mom again.
So they say they actually are very similar to beavers. And they eat pet food pellets. So, like, if you go out to the lake and you're feeding the ducks and stuff, they take over and they eat that food, too.
That's wonderful.
So people in the area were like, what is this thing?
Well, just keep feeding them.
It's not a beaver. It's not a groundhog. It's a giant swamp rat.
I had a groundhog in my yard last weekend, and I just knocked on the window, and he was like, wah! And he was out.
He was out. He left.
That was it. Haven't seen him since.
They eat about 3 pounds a day.
That's crazy.
And it causes erosion. It takes decreased water quality. It can lead different toxins and stuff in the waters that can then come back to the humans that drink it.
Man, I think this is great, and I'm going to tell you why. Because, like, in Louisiana, they get paid to kill these swamp rats. Dude, how many times in a video game have you thought, you know, you start out, you're killing rats, you're skinning stuff, and then you just take the money to the the stuff to the trader, and they give you money? This is a chance to put those video game skills to real life work. You can finally do it.
You could.
Right? So, I mean, I don't know how much it actually pays, but it's just it's a thought. That's all I'm saying.
Senators earlier this month called for, they want the government to pay states to be more proactive and attack this problem. And they want to get $12 million a year to pay people off to destroy these things.
All right.
This was the worst of the riot, and we'd like to congratulate you on having the stomach to stick around to the very end. The Riot exists because RadioU exists, and RadioU only exists because of your support. Find out more and give now at RadioU.com/donate.
If there was a word that I would use to describe you, it's unpure.